One of the things I love about a Super Bowl, and this is my 22nd, 23rd that I'm covering for NFL Network. I've kind of lost track, which is kind of cool. To be honest with you, it's a good problem to have. First class issues, right? Is the journeys. It's the journeys of players and franchises and coaches to get to this game. And for some, it's a long time coming. And we forget about this because it's two teams that played each other in the Super Bowl 2 Super Bowls ago. That it's a first time around for some, including some that have been waiting a long time, and including for some for whom a ring might be missing, the only thing missing in an otherwise Hall of Fame career. This post hit me today, crossed my path, from DeAndre Hopkins, who said, to all the kids out there living in small towns and small houses with single parents, to the kids who see violence, who see loss, who don't get the resources they deserve, but who still have big dreams, know that I was a kid in your exact shoes, and this week I'm playing in the Super Bowl. Don't give up. Hard work. Keep believing. Where you start doesn't determine where you end up. How amazing is that? And a perfect way to bring in the man whose team has a chance to three-peat, but it is the first time for DeAndre Hopkins, who the Chiefs traded for in the middle of the season. Back here on the Rich Eisen Show, the CEO and chairman of the Kansas City Chiefs, Clark Hunt. How are you doing, Clark?
I'm doing great, Rich. It's so good to be on with you today.
And it's great to have you here. We last saw each other prior to kickoff. Wonder how that post from DeAndre Hopkins hits you, Clark.
Yeah, well, DeAndre's such a special person in addition to being an amazing player. And I think he's speaking for any number of veterans in the NFL who've never had a chance to compete in the Super Bowl. I know how excited he is. And we're very, very lucky to have him on the team. He came in and really helped stabilize our receiver core at a time we had a lot of injuries. And I have no doubt that we wouldn't be where we are this week without DeAndre's contribution.
Yeah, and just again, the journeys, it hits me in the gut when I see, opportunities made through the sport of football. Lives changed, families changed, addresses changed, and and I know you've been at the cross section of this for quite some time, and it's just something I wanted to start our conversation with, Clark.
Yeah, I think it's really amazing how big the game has become. And it's something that as a family we think a lot about those early Super Bowls, which my dad had a chance to be part of. And of course, he was part of really helping create the Super Bowl with the founding of the American Football League. And I think he would be shocked in terms of how big it's grown. But you're exactly right, Rich, how it impacts everybody who gets to be a participant in the big game.
What do you think he would think about knowing that the first ever three-peat in the history of a game that he helped create and also dub the Super Bowl? What would your dad be thinking with the opportunity that your team has in front of it this week?
Yeah, he would be absolutely thrilled. I had the chance to enjoy the Chicago Bulls 2 three-peats with him. My dad was one of the original investors in the Bulls, and he and my mom loved going to Chicago to cheer on the Bulls, particularly during the Michael Jordan era. And of course, they got to enjoy 2 three-peats, and it was so special for them. And it would be hard to put into words what having his Chiefs have the opportunity to win 3 Super Bowls in a row. I think he would be beyond words.
Especially since your quarterback does have a lot of comparisons to Jordan right now in a lot of shows like this. We're hearing Jordan's name thrown about, Shaquille O'Neal's name thrown about, and as a matter of fact, those are the last 2 guys who have won the MVP of their championship game 3 times in a row, which is what Mahomes can do. He can join these names in the pantheon of North American sports, not just the NFL. Clark.
Yeah, it's an amazing comparison, but very deserving. Patrick is still pretty young, and hopefully he has a very long career ahead of him. But with what he's already achieved, he certainly deserves to be on that level and considered among the greatest athletes ever in the history of North American sports.
Now, decisions to trade up in the draft to go take a kid like him, does that cross your radar screen in a draft room, or you just sat back and let everyone do their gig on a night like that?
No, it was a substantial move, and it was going to require giving up some pretty high draft compensation in the future. And so it was something that we talked about in the weeks leading up to the draft, something that they got the approval from me to see if they could get done. I had a little chance to watch some tape of Patrick at Texas Tech, and it was breathtaking, and I can see why Brett Veach and Andy Reid were so taken with him, and just so glad it all worked out. And I think, needless to say, it worked out better than any of us would have thought.
Yeah, and the 7-year anniversary of trading Alex Smith to clear way, that happened just last week. And then, I was speaking to Andy on Friday's show, Clark, and it's just amazing what he has done since joining your organization. And I'm curious to know what was the conversation, the interviews with Andy like when you were interviewing him for the head coaching job all those years ago, because that was truly the first major piece of the cinder blocks that have led to this possible three-peat palace you're building there in Kansas City.
Yeah, I've had a chance to think a lot about that interview back in January of 2013. We'd come off a very difficult season, having won 2 games, and we really needed a cultural reset. And when I got into the interview with Andy, it became evident that he was exactly what we were looking for, what we needed. We needed somebody who was experienced, somebody who, of course, had shown already that he was a great coach on the field. He was able to come in and change the culture of the team very quickly. In fact, you'll probably remember we went from winning 2 games in 2012 to winning 9 straight games to start the 2013 season, which I think says a whole lot about Andy. I want to give some credit to Alex Smith as well. That was our big offseason move that year, adding Alex, who certainly helped stabilize our quarterback situation and was a great leader. But you just can't say enough great things about Andy and what he's done for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, you could also say, based on the conversations I've had with him back in the day and even in the present day, Travis Kelce, you could say Alex Smith helped solidify and sort of stabilize the tight end position there as well. He was crucial in starting Kelce on to what is now a Jerry Rice conversation like Hall of Fame playoff and regular season career at that position.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Obviously the draft decision to take Travis, and Travis was somebody that Andy knew because he had already drafted Travis's brother in Philadelphia, and he really thought that Travis could develop into an outstanding tight end. And I think the environment that he was brought into really helped get his career off on the right foot. Clearly, having a great coach like Andy Reid and his outstanding coaching staff was a big part of it, but having a great quarterback like Alex Smith. When people think about Travis, they think about Travis and Patrick. Well, before Patrick became our quarterback, he and Alex had a special connection as well.
Clark Hunt here, a few minutes left with the chairman and CEO of the Kansas City Chiefs here on the Rich Eisen Show. Couple of conversations being had right now. I would love to bring to you, since you're one of the 32 members of the National Football League as well, and one involves your team. I'm sure you're aware of the conversation many fans have that there is a zebra thumbprint on some of your wins, Clark Hunt. How do you respond to the fact that there is a scale and the zebras might have a thumb on it in favor of your franchise?
Yeah, it's something we don't take very seriously. I think, depending on what stats you want to look at, you could come up with any conclusion. There's certainly some stats that show us as one of the most penalized teams over the last 7 or 8 years. And I think it's only natural that you start having these kind of conversations when a team has a lot of success. I mentioned the Chicago Bulls already, just thinking back to that era. there were a lot of commentators who made the same comments about the Bulls or Michael Jordan always getting the call. And I really think it was a case of the greatness of Michael Jordan and his teammates, more so than the referees having an impact on those games.
And then one of the plays in the championship game that people still talk about was the spotting of the football, in which Kansas City got the ball, and some thought that Josh Allen did get the line to gain to keep possession of it. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is if the technology exists, and I think it's getting there, to spot the football using GPS, chips, lasers, and things like that, would ownership, membership be up for getting that on the field?
I absolutely think so. Something that I've seen over the last 10 or 15 years is a real willingness by the NFL ownership to embrace technology. That obviously starts with replay, which I think has made the game a lot better. There's no sense in having the fans at home who are watching on TV see something that should have been called or was called incorrectly and not have the ability to correct it. And so as we move forward, there'll no doubt be technological changes that'll make it easier for the referees to officiate the game and get it right. Because at the end of the day, that's all we want. Who are associated with the league. We want the right calls on the field.
And again, I'm unfamiliar with what committees you're on. If this is a committee that you're involved in, do you know how close we might be to getting this technology used in the National Football League? Clark Hunt?
So I'm not a member of the competition committee, and I think that's the committee that would look at that first and bring it to the ownership. So I don't know where that stands.
All right, and in terms of things that you absolutely have a part in, how much do you think about, and again, I know you got a big game, you're not there yet, but how much do you think about keeping this going and making sure that the right people are under contract and that you head off any impasses at the pass and that you're making sure coaches stay and players who might be thinking of retiring, maybe another contract comes and things of that nature. How much are you thinking about the next as opposed to the here and now with a franchise like this?
Yeah, well, I think that's the challenge anytime you have sustained success is, keeping the group together. There are a lot of distractions, a lot of opportunities that come for your players and coaches. And I think we're just so lucky in Kansas City to have Brett Veach as our general manager. I know he's already thinking a lot about next year, even though his focus this week is going to be on the Super Bowl. He's fantastic, though, at looking ahead and thinking about all the possibilities and knowing, when we should make a move to try to prevent something from happening to us externally. So he's fantastic. Obviously, Andy's been doing this for a very long time. He's great, not only with the players, but with his coaching staff. He has one of the best coaching staffs in the league. It's a very experienced coaching staff. And we've been lucky that so many of those coaches have wanted to stay in Kansas City.
Before I let you go, I know this isn't your team, but the Dallas Texans is where, your dad has a history in and the family has a history in before the Kansas City Chiefs. And the son of Marty Schottenheimer just got named the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. What would your dad have thought about that piece of news in the NFL, Clark Hunt?
He would have been so excited. We all got to see Brian grow up in Kansas City when his dad was the head coach of the Chiefs. And I couldn't be happier for him. I think he's very deserving of the opportunity and will do a great job for the Cowboys.
Okay, I just wanted to throw that in your direction. It's just kind of amazing how things occur in our world, in our football world, where you just can't make stuff up. So last one for you. What would a three-peat mean to you?
I think it would really be a credit to Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, his teammates, for the work that they put in, not only over the last 3 years, but really the entire time that they've been with our organization. The two of them are tremendous leaders. One is our head coach. One is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And I think it would just, validate their relationship and the fact that as a head coach and quarterback, they're one of the greatest combinations in the history of the National Football League.
Well, I appreciate the time here before you're heading off to New Orleans, and I appreciated you coming on the show prior to opening kickoff, and then, this season unfolds. I'm just trying to point out these two things. I don't think they're mutually exclusive, that you appear on my show and something generationally potentially happens. I'm not looking for a share or a ring. I just wanted to point it out, Clark.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I enjoyed being on the show at the kickoff of the season. I'm glad we're doing this week. It's a good omen.
Right. I appreciate you saying that, and I hope it does bear fruit for you and your family in the ways that you're hoping. And the Philadelphia Eagles are a stout opponent, and I'm sure they would love to prevent it. But all that said, I will see you in New Orleans, and I appreciate the time here, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be on with you.
Yeah, wish you the best of luck. That's Clark Hunt, Chairman and CEO of the Kansas City Chiefs. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.